Wall Street Journal. White House aides shielded Biden from public interaction. Reason: Joe Biden attempted to utilize the regulatory state to oversee all aspects. Biden approves legislation to finance the government until March 20.
Argentina's Milei reportedly receives Italian citizenship while visiting Rome. According to a source, South Korea's parliament has decided to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol due to his martial law order. A Dutch court has dismissed a lawsuit from rights groups aiming to stop arms sales to Israel. In the United States, the Department of Justice Inspector General has disclosed that there were 26 FBI informants at the January 6 Capitol riot, but no undercover agents were involved, according to the Watchdog's report. President Biden has commuted the sentences of 1,500 individuals, marking the largest single-day act of clemency in the country. Meanwhile, the chair of the January 6 committee has expressed willingness to accept a preemptive pardon from Biden if such an offer is made. In the United States, a group of bipartisan lawmakers is actively working to dismantle large healthcare conglomerates. As a result of this legislative push, healthcare stocks have experienced a decline. Additionally, United Healthcare has stated that the suspect in the CEO's murder was not covered by their insurance.
Syria's rebel leader has pledged to dismantle the security forces of the Assad regime and shut down the prisons. According to Reporters Without Borders, Israeli forces were accountable for the deaths of 1/3 of the 54 journalists killed in 2024. Belgium has been convicted of crimes against humanity for the abduction of thousands of children in the Congo. Microsoft anticipates an $800 million impairment charge in the second quarter of 2025 due to General Motors' exit from Cruise. NVIDIA intensifies its hiring efforts in China to concentrate on developing AI-powered cars. Honda terminates its self-driving partnership with General Motors as the founders of Cruise unit.
Syria's former leader, Assad, claims he intended to continue the conflict, but his Russian allies arranged for his evacuation. According to the Financial Times, Assad transported $250 million in cash from Syria to Russia over a span of 2 years. Meanwhile, a prisoner who previously identified himself as a victim of the Assad regime is reportedly an intelligence officer, as stated by local residents.
Trump claims he called off his trip to Bedminster due to drones in New Jersey, while a drone detection system is now in place in New York following unexplained sightings. The UK is reconsidering social media regulation following the far-right riots of summer 2024 and is examining ways to compel more transparency in AI training models. Nearly 800 individuals have been apprehended in connection with a Nigerian crypto romance scam. Ukraine claims it's behind Moscow blast that killed head of Russia's nuclear defense forces. EU moves towards suspending visa-free travel for Georgian diplomats. First batch of US-made M1A2T tanks arrives in Taiwan. Pope reveals he was target of suicide bomb attempt during 2021 Iraq visit, and Pope Francis reveals 2 attempts on his life during 2021 visit to Iraq. U.S. probes Spain for reportedly blocking port for ships with weapons for Israel. 10 days ago, shipping giant Maersk violated Spanish embargo on sending military goods to Israel, researchers say. Trump says Russia and Ukraine peace may be harder than Middle East.
Netanyahu asserts that Israel has no interest in confronting Syria, while simultaneously planning to double its population on the occupied Golan Heights, citing threats from Syria. This move has been described as Israel expanding into the Golan Heights, creating a new front in Syria. The U.S. requests Israel to authorize urgent military assistance to Palestinian security forces. Turkey claims that Syria's new rulers have agreed to dismantle Kurdish forces.
In Syria to Xinjiang link, China warns leaders in Damascus not to threaten security elsewhere. UN migration chief tells AFP, not advising large-scale returns to Syria now. Human Rights Watch says Israel's deprivation of water in Gaza is act of genocide.
Alberta introduces a U.S. border security strategy featuring sheriffs, canines, and drones, while Canada suggests a collaborative police force with the U.S. to address Trump's border issues. Trump remarked that Canada becoming the 51st state would be a fantastic idea. A New York resident admits to running a clandestine police station for the Chinese government in Lower Manhattan. China refutes the existence of secret police stations, following the man's guilty plea. In the United States, the Department of Homeland Security (DHS) has introduced a final rule to assist companies in filling more positions and to enhance worker protections within the H-2 programs. Additionally, the DHS has fortified the H-1B program, enabling U.S. employers to more swiftly fill essential roles. Meanwhile, Trump's transition team is considering the expansion of ankle monitors for illegal immigrants who are not in custody. Furthermore, a survey reveals that over half of Generation X parents are concerned about financially supporting their children into adulthood.
U.S. imposes sanctions on an entity and individuals involved in a virtual currency money laundering network supporting the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. U.S. targets North Korea with sanctions for backing Russia and advancing ballistic missile technology. U.S. imposes sanctions on drug traffickers associated with New Zealand. NATO assumes control of military aid coordination to Kyiv from the U.S., according to a source. In the United States, a lawsuit alleges that the State Department has established loopholes for Israel regarding military aid and human rights, while Palestinians file a lawsuit against the State Department over U.S. military assistance to Israel. The BBC states that a plot to assassinate the Pope has been thwarted by UK intelligence. In Germany, Christmas market attack, Saudi doctor arrested, after 2 killed and 68 injured. Saudi Arabia warned Germany ahead of Christmas market ramming, source claims. Houthis fire a ballistic missile named Palestine 2 at Tel Aviv. It has been commented as Netanyahu to skip Auschwitz liberation event in Poland over ICC arrest fears.
Mexicans blame U.S. for arms trafficking and reject the possibility of foreign agents operating on their territory, as it has been reported that Mexico devastated by iron river of guns from U.S. Pentagon says it doubled the number of U.S. troops in Syria before Assad's fall, and U.S. lifts $10 million bounty on HTS leader after talks in Syrian capital. 7 days ago, it has been reported as Syrian rebel leader said, territory will not be used to launch attacks against Israel. Palestinian Americans sue Biden over failure to evacuate relatives stuck in Gaza.
Syrian interim government plans to disclose a list of names of former Assad regime officials who are wanted. Putin declared that Russia transported 4,000 Iranian troops from Syria to Tehran, and he refuted claims of Russian defeat in Syria, stating that Israel is the primary beneficiary. It has been remarked that Israel's Netanyahu is focusing on Iran following his successes against Hamas, Hezbollah, and Syria. Russia will continue to pose a threat to Europe after the Ukraine conflict, according to Finland. Estonia's chief intelligence officer emphasizes that NATO must deter Russia for the next decade to 2. Meanwhile, Putin states that Russia is prepared to negotiate with Trump regarding the Ukraine war. Additionally, Hungary has granted rare political asylum to a fugitive Polish peace lawmaker, following Poland's issuance of an arrest warrant for the opposition politician facing criminal charges 8 days prior.
Trump's border czar states that he requires funding and a minimum of 100,000 beds to implement deportation plans. Advocates reportedly train immigrants to prepare to stay in the U.S. during Trump's administration. It has been reported that, as landowners resist, Texas border wall is fragmented and constructed in remote locations.
NVIDIA is facing a lawsuit alleging that it downplayed the significant impact of cryptocurrency on its success. The Supreme Court has granted permission for investors to pursue a class action lawsuit against NVIDIA. This decision comes after the Supreme Court agreed to take up the NVIDIA securities suit in June 2022, focusing on the company's compliance with pleading standards. Additionally, in the United States, Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced a bill aimed at holding capitalism accountable. Furthermore, Klarna Bank was fined a substantial amount of $46 million in Sweden due to a money laundering investigation.
Mathematicians made a casual discovery of 2 new infinities. In the United States, more colleges are set to close in 2025, despite the surge in applications to Ivy Plus schools. As by 2029, 80 colleges could close, even as elite Ivy League schools continue to thrive. Additionally, SpaceX is showcasing footage of robots being used to manufacture Starship rockets in Texas.
On YouTube, Viewers globally streamed over 1 billion hours of content daily on their TVs, while they watched over 400 million hours of podcasts monthly on living room devices. Additionally, the FCC has opened the entire 6 GHz band to very low-power device operations. Furthermore, the Oscars ceremony will be streamed live on Hulu for the first time.
Sony Music has removed its catalog from the Africa-focused music streaming service Boomplay. Google has removed negative reviews about McDonald's following an arrest in the United Health murder case.
Trump warns Panama could lose control of the canal if it keeps exploiting the U.S. Elon Musk asserts that constructing a tunnel from London to New York would be as £15.7 billion if he were to undertake the project. Italy's prime minister declares that the EU will not permit Russia or other nations to jeopardize security via immigration. Warner Bros. Discovery undergoes restructuring to potentially enhance future business opportunities. Elon Musk envisions transforming SpaceX's Starbase location into a city in Texas. Intel executives indicate that a manufacturing spin-off could be feasible.
In the United States, the National Labor Relations Board, NLRB, has declared that participants in reality television shows should be classified as employees. Meanwhile, Bloomberg has published an article where insiders reveal how a major IT company allegedly prioritized Indian H-1B workers over American employees. Additionally, Samsung has made accusations against India's antitrust authority, claiming they unlawfully detained employees and seized data. Reuters reports as Trump extends invitation to China's Xi for his inauguration, with experts labeling it as political theater. AP comments that China's Xi is expected to reject Trump's inauguration invitation, perceiving it as too perilous to attend. CNBC said, China indicates willingness to improve relations with the U.S. prior to Trump's inauguration. Switzerland is preparing to update its nuclear bunker network from the Cold War era. Allegedly, Russia is nearing an agreement with rebels to maintain military bases in Syria. 1 week ago, The Telegraph remarked, if Putin loses his Tartus base, he might require a ceasefire in Ukraine. The EU Commission has declared political micro-targeting illegal, following a controversial ad campaign on X that violated the bloc's privacy rules. A year ago, the EU was hit with a privacy complaint over CSAM micro-targeting ads on X. Just a month ago, the EU Commission informed its staff that there would be no more ads on Elon's X. In the US, Congress has instructed Apple and Google to prepare to remove TikTok next month. Additionally, a federal appeals court has refused to temporarily block the ban on TikTok, setting the stage for a potential showdown at the Supreme Court over the controversial law. Temu and Shein are reportedly encountering challenges in their Southeast Asia expansion. A month ago, Shein and Temu were ordered to complete registration in Vietnam by November. Just a week ago, Temu and Shein suspended their operations in Vietnam amid a crackdown on e-commerce platforms. OpenAI attributes its significant ChatGPT outage to the introduction of a new telemetry service. Microsoft eliminates Skype credits and phone numbers, opting instead for subscription models. HDMI 2.2 is scheduled to be unveiled at CES 2025, introducing enhanced resolutions, refresh rates, and bandwidth capabilities. In the United States, Congress claims that the Navy is concealing details regarding submarine pricing in the latest defense policy bill. Additionally, in the U.S., 14 North Korean nationals have been charged with executing a multi-year fraudulent scheme involving information technology workers and associated extortions. Furthermore, Israel alleges an unprecedented number of its citizens are engaged in espionage activities for Iran.
In Australia, the Parliament has enacted stringent new laws that allow children in Queensland, as young as 10 years old, to receive life sentences for the crime of murder. In China, a former Premier League soccer star has been sentenced to a term of 20 years in prison due to charges of corruption. A Danish court has imposed a 12 years prison sentence on a British trader for orchestrating a tax scam involving $1.27 billion. In Ukraine, Hungary did not engage in discussions about a Christmas truce or a prisoner exchange, according to the presidential office. Meanwhile, Hungary's Orbán has asserted that Zelensky rejected a Christmas ceasefire, but Kiev maintains that such discussions never occurred. The Kremlin press secretary has expressed Moscow's support for Orbán's proposal regarding the prisoner exchange. Moldova has announced a state of emergency due to the potential threat of a Russian gas cutoff. NATO chief emphasizes that Europe must adopt a wartime mindset to halt Putin's actions and warns that Putin seeks a prolonged confrontation with Europe following the situation in Ukraine.
Greece plans to limit bank fees for money transfers, according to the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Russia is preparing for a significant rate increase due to concerns about inflation. 10 days prior, the Russian central bank governor stated that the December 20th rate hike is not predetermined. Additionally, The Economist notes that the World Bank is facing challenges in assisting all 78 impoverished nations, despite announcing a record $100 billion in support for the world's poorest countries.
Apple is reportedly working on a large foldable iPad, aiming for a 2028 release, and is planning thinner, foldable iPhones to stimulate growth. The film Kraven the Hunter has opened with $11 million at the box office, marking the lowest debut for Sony/Marvel. The London Stock Exchange is experiencing its largest departure in 15 years, as the former chief executive raises concerns. China's yearly growth is expected to reach target of 5%, according to a senior official. Moody's downgraded France's credit rating shortly after the appointment of a new prime minister, and it also reduced Slovakia's credit rating due to fiscal and political risks. Trump is considering privatizing the U.S. Postal Service because of financial losses. Unreleased Michael Jackson tapes discovered in abandoned storage unit. Sesame Street hits the market, as HBO and Max opt not to renew deal for new episodes. Jennifer Love Hewitt confirms return for new I Know What You Did Last Summer movie at Sony.
According to recent reports, the Bank of America only identified and flagged suspicious payments linked to Jeffrey Epstein after his demise. This revelation follows a similar disclosure made by the U.S. Virgin Islands, which stated that J.P. Morgan had informed the Treasury Department about over $1 billion in transactions associated with Epstein's alleged human trafficking activities, also following his death. In a separate development, a threat actor known as MUD-1244 has been targeting individuals involved in offensive activities, resulting in the unauthorized release of hundreds of thousands of credentials. Additionally, NVIDIA has announced the revival of LAN parties after a 13-year hiatus to commemorate the launch of its RTX 50 series GPUs. The event, titled GeForce LAN 50, is scheduled to be a 50 hours LAN party that will take place across 4 distinct cities.
Chinese e-commerce merchants establish their presence in Russian online marketplaces. Temu becomes the top downloaded app on the U.S. App Store in 2024. Walmart collaborates with delivery company Meituan to enhance China e-commerce sales. Less than 50% of Latinos in the U.S. have sufficient health insurance. The U.S. Census Bureau is now including refugees in its immigrant statistics. BofA Global Research anticipates that 2025 will see continued strength in the equity market despite macroeconomic uncertainties. BofA economists and strategists predict that the U.S. economy will surpass expectations, and the S&P 500 will reach 6,666 by the end of the year. Reuters indicates that Congo has initiated criminal complaints against Apple in Europe concerning conflict minerals. Meta is set to pay $31.85 million to resolve an Australian privacy lawsuit associated with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Trump has convened with the TikTok CEO as the video app contests a potential ban, with TikTok appealing to the Supreme Court to halt a law that might prohibit the popular app. SoftBank CEO and Trump reveal a $100 billion investment in the U.S. by the company. Kioxia, a semiconductor leader, plans to go public on the 18th, focusing on AI applications, but its market capitalization is under half of the anticipated value. Time, an African digital bank, secures a $250 million funding round led by Nubank, valuing the company at $1.5 billion. UK collaborates with Italy and Japan to create a British fighter jet to compete with America's F-35. German far-right leader raised doubts about NATO membership. 2 weeks ago, the German spy chief warned that Russia might challenge NATO's commitment to the Mutual Defense Clause. Norway plans to train Ukrainian F-16 pilots in Portugal.
Russia apprehends an Uzbek citizen in connection with a bomb attack that killed a high-ranking general. Taiwan is negotiating with Amazon's Kuiper regarding satellite communications due to concerns about China. The Department of Homeland Security reports that China, Russia, Iran, and Israel are using SS-7 to spy on individuals in the United States. The Supreme Court declined to hear appeals from broadband groups challenging New York's rate caps, upholding the state's low-income broadband rate law. Elon Musk and SpaceX are under federal scrutiny for breaching security reporting regulations. It has been reported that Shine will need to hand over Indian data and control of local operations to re-enter the Indian market.
Meta has been penalized with a fine of $263 million due to a security breach in 2018 that impacted approximately 3 million Facebook users in the European Union. Interpol is calling for the discontinuation of the term pig butchering, as it is believed to cause distress to victims of online scams. A recent poll in the United States reveals that 41% of young voters consider the killing of the United Healthcare CEO to be an acceptable action.
FTC, Illinois Attorney General take action against Grubhub for harming diners, workers, and small businesses as company to pay $25 million and junk fees and backup earnings claims to resolve charges of consumer protection and competition law violations. FTC issues rules requiring hotels, ticket sellers to reveal junk fees. In the U.S., students overpaid elite colleges $685 million, price-fixing, suit says. 2 months ago, it has been reported as Harvard and Yale among dozens of universities targeted in financial aid price-fixing lawsuit. In Brazil, CID informed the PF that funds for the coup attempt came from individuals involved in agribusiness. Additionally, Braga Neto became the first 4-stars general to be arrested in the country since 1964. A video suggests the Assad regime's participation in extensive illicit drug trafficking. During a French league match between PSG and Lyon, the referee paused the game due to homophobic chants. Walmart is testing body cameras for staff amid rising shopper violence in the retail sector. Honda and Nissan are set to discuss a possible large-scale merger following a joint research agreement on fundamental technologies for future SDV platforms. Newborns of TSMC employees in Taiwan account for 1.8% of the nation's total births in 2023. Canada has implemented economic sanctions targeting 5 Venezuelan officials, among them the president of the High Court. Authorities in the United States have apprehended 2 Colombian individuals involved in human smuggling. Bolivia has released an arrest warrant for former President Morales concerning trafficking a minor.
Women victimized in rape club at California prison get record $116 million settlement. U.S. repatriates 3 Guantanamo detainees, leaving 27 at prison, as U.S. releases a Kenyan prisoner held for nearly 18 years without charges, and Pentagon repatriates 2 Malaysian prisoners who admitted to war crimes linked to Bali bombing. Suspect charged with killing United Healthcare CEO as an act of terrorism. UniCredit increases its control of voting rights in Commerzbank to 28%. Starting in 2027, the U.S. will mandate rear seat belt reminders in all vehicles. A driverless bus service in Scotland will be discontinued because of insufficient interest. Rivian will reduce vehicle production in 2024 due to supply chain problems that have intensified recently. Meanwhile, Reuters indicates that the Trump transition team intends to implement a comprehensive reversal of Biden's electric vehicle and emissions policies, with Trump also planning to decrease funding for electric vehicles and charging infrastructure. Additionally, Boston Dynamics is reducing its workforce by 5% as it faces financial difficulties. Parliament approves legislation permitting foreign banks to conduct business in Ethiopia. Syria's biggest refinery ceases operations due to the halt in Iranian oil supply. The UK election watchdog seeks new donation regulations to address potential influence from Elon Musk. It is reported that Elon Musk is contemplating financial support for Nigel Farage's Populist Party, which could significantly impact UK politics.
Chinese astronauts achieve a world record spacewalk lasting 9 hours. A Chinese company successfully tests a supersonic aircraft ramjet, advancing China's efforts to develop a supersonic engine capable of transporting passengers from Beijing to New York in just 2 hours.
NASA enveille à large Mars chopé featuring 6 rotorblades.
The Federal Reserve in the United States has decreased interest rates by 0.25 percentage points. However, it anticipates fewer rate cuts in the year 2025. Meanwhile, the Bank of Japan has maintained its interest rates at 0.25%, resulting in the yen reaching a one-month low. Additionally, China is constructing the largest artificial island airport in Dalian. Disney reaches $233 million settlement for minimum wage law violations. Teamsters initiate the most extensive strike against Amazon in U.S. history. Disney's settlement of Trump defamation case sparks controversy at ABC News.
The U.S. Supreme Court has decided to review a case challenging the TikTok ban. According to Wall Street Journal, the U.S. is considering a ban on a Chinese-manufactured router used in millions of American homes, with TP-Link potentially facing a U.S. ban due to compromised routers being exploited for Chinese attacks. China has unveiled a hit list of U.S. naval targets that could be targeted in a future conflict. Volkswagen has reportedly reached an agreement with the union following intense negotiations. It has been mentioned that the Volkswagen union indicated that labor negotiations were at a standstill after 4 days of discussions. In Switzerland, the world's steepest cable car has been unveiled, which ascends to the James Bond revolving restaurant. Additionally, NASA and Axiom Space are reportedly speeding up their plans for a free-flying space station. Federal authorities claim Chinese government placed an agent in Southern California to sway local government decisions. China advises making the right choice following Trump's claim that he and she can resolve global issues. China is reportedly increasing its Pacific activities, with Taiwan invasion deemed not possible by 2027, according to Department of Defense officials.
Pakistan is reportedly working on missiles that could potentially reach the United States, according to a senior U.S. official. Meanwhile, a Pentagon report indicates that China has almost tripled its nuclear weapons since 2020. Additionally, Elon Musk's criticism of F-35s has sparked a discussion about the high cost of these fighter jets. In response, the Air Force Secretary has countered Musk's remarks on eliminating manned fighters, emphasizing he is not a warfighter. Amazon postpones return-to-office requirement for many employees because of lack of office space. FedEx is separating its freight division, forming FedEx Freight spinoff to establish the biggest LTL carrier. Research indicates Waymo's autonomous taxi system offers much greater safety than human drivers. With Gaza death trap, Doctors Without Borders, the MSF report exposes Israel's campaign of total destruction. White House says Biden will visit Pope Francis and Italy's PM Meloni in final international trip of his presidency. A report from Israel claimed soldiers say open-fire policies in Gaza too loose, leading to civilian deaths. Circle, a stablecoin issuer, expands its offerings with Binance. Crypto.com collaborates with Deutsche Bank to provide corporate banking services in key Asian Pacific markets. Australia imposes a $5 million fine on Kraken's operator for regulatory violations. Scientists suggest that Uranus and Neptune might have oceans extending 5,000 miles deep. The NHTSA proposes a national program for vehicles with automated driving systems, creating a voluntary review and reporting framework to evaluate and oversee specific vehicles equipped with these systems. It has been speculated that Elon Musk is so wealthy he could purchase every MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL team and still have money remaining.
Israeli settlers set mosque on fire in occupied West Bank. At least 2 dead as car slams into crowded Christmas market in Germany. Saudi doctor who crashed into German Christmas market, killing at least 2, is an anti-Islam activist, claimed in a 7-year-old dies in stabbing attack at Croatia school.
Russia has enacted a law prohibiting migrant children from attending schools unless they are proficient in Russian. This move has been criticized for potentially increasing economic and security challenges. Meanwhile, China's Global Times has remarked that the spy drone incident highlights the U.S. as a source of delusion and irrationality. Additionally, Thousands have gathered at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba to protest against the trade embargo.
Stonehenge might have been built to bring together early British farming communities, according to research. Malaysia has decided to initiate a fresh search for the MH370 plane, which disappeared 10 years ago with 239 individuals on board. Nigerian officials have confiscated 2.179 tons of pangolin scales and apprehended a significant broker. In 2024, a total of $2.2 billion was stolen from cryptocurrency platforms. However, the volume of hacks remained relatively stable as the year progressed, with activity from the DPRK slowing significantly after July. Research indicates that Bitcoin would require more than 300 consecutive days of downtime to effectively protect itself from the looming threat of quantum computing. Bloomberg notes that the removal of Tether could jeopardize Europe's opportunity to participate in the anticipated cryptocurrency boom, led by Trump.
El Salvador plans to reduce its Bitcoin initiatives as part of a $1.4 billion IMF agreement. Hong Kong has granted licenses to 4 new cryptocurrency trading platforms in its regulatory advancement. Illegal casinos are exploiting the online game platform Roblox to attract children into gambling activities.
Kraken announced that 73% of cryptocurrency users intend to maintain their investments in the year 2025. In 2024, Solana emerged as the most attractive platform for new cryptocurrency developers, according to Electric Capital. The CFTC has filed a lawsuit against a pastor from Washington for a $6 million cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. During his visit to the New York Stock Exchange, President-elect Donald Trump reiterated his dedication to the cryptocurrency sector, emphasizing its potential and importance in the financial landscape. MicroStrategy, a company known for its Bitcoin proxy investments, is set to become a member of the Nasdaq 100. This move highlights the growing influence of Bitcoin-related entities in major stock indices. Additionally, MicroStrategy's shares will be included in the QQQ ETF, which is one of the most traded exchange-traded funds, further increasing its exposure and accessibility to investors. Meanwhile, in Southeast Asia, Indonesia has experienced a remarkable surge in cryptocurrency transactions, with a 352% increase in 2024. This growth has propelled the total value of crypto transactions in the country to $29.63 billion.
Coincheck, a Japanese cryptocurrency exchange, is launching its initial public offering in the United States. The Bank of England is requiring companies to report their cryptocurrency exposure by March 2025. Hitachi Energy's CEO cautions about an impending shortage of transformers.
Montana's Supreme Court upholds a lower court ruling permitting gender-affirming care for minors. In contrast, Britain imposes an indefinite ban on puberty blockers for minors. On the domestic front, the U.S. House approves a substantial $895 billion defense bill, including a military pay raise, while simultaneously banning transgender care for minors.
Trump intends to eliminate the policy that restricts ICE arrests at churches, schools, and hospitals. In the United States, the Justice Department announces that defendants who accept pardons for the January 6 attack will make a confession of guilt. FBI Director Wray expresses his intention to resign before Trump takes office in January, and in response to the FBI director's resignation, a biographer of J. Edgar Hoover reacts with "The Bureau is in trouble."
Fox News polls suggest that voters are feeling hopeful after the election and want Trump to prioritize addressing inflation. Also, a CNN poll indicates that a majority of Americans approve of Trump's handling of his return to the White House. Additionally, GM CEO Mary Barra asserts that they share a common agenda with Trump. Furthermore, Trump is poised to be named Time's Person of the Year for a second time.
In his final House appearance as Secretary of State, Blinken has defended the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan. This decision has drawn criticism from GOP members in Congress, who argue that the withdrawal lit the world on fire. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has announced that the mysterious drones observed in New Jersey are not originating from an Iranian mothership. These drones have reportedly been changing time on clocks in the area, causing local residents to fear they might be targets of UFOs. Additionally, Pakistan's military has taken action against the former spy chief, accusing him of engaging in political activities.
In the United States, 1 in 6 congresswomen has been targeted by AI-generated sexually explicit deepfakes. Palantir's executive vice president emphasizes the significance of software in modern warfare. Meanwhile, the Russian government has been using cybercriminals' tools to spy on Ukraine, as a Microsoft report reveals that Russian actor Secret Blizzard is employing the techniques of other groups to attack Ukraine. Trump's NASA selection predicts that the military will eventually deploy troops in space. Trump demands the shooting down of unidentified drones. 2 days ago, sightings of a drone cluster in New Jersey led to a call for a state of emergency. Trump announces that the GOP will strive to abolish daylight saving time.
OpenAI CEO Sam Altman to donate $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund. OpenAI says Musk wanted to own and run it as a for-profit, in court filing, as OpenAI emails show Elon Musk wanted for-profit structure in 2017. Meta urges California Attorney General to stop OpenAI from becoming for-profit.
FBI informant admits to fabricating claims about Joe and Hunter Biden. Blue Sky's growth might lead to a progressive echo chamber, according to observers, with increasing participation from Canada's MPs. Amazon, under Jeff Bezos, intends to contribute $1 million to Trump's inauguration. Previously, it was reported that Meta, led by Mark Zuckerberg, had donated $1 million to Trump's inauguration following Trump's threat to imprison Zuckerberg.
Canada is considering export taxes on uranium and oil in response to potential trade war actions by Trump. Australia plans to implement a news tax targeting tech companies. Google Play will stop monetizing apps associated with Russian bank accounts. Trump declares he will withdraw vaccines if deemed unsafe. Trump endorses dock workers, advocating against further automation in ports. Trump receives applause of USA as he rings the bell at NYSE, observed by Wall Street CEOs and business leaders. In Hong Kong, a survey shows that almost 48.3% of young people feel like failures, highlighting the effects on mental health. Mexico has implemented an AI-driven application aimed at stopping suicides. A study reveals that white neighborhoods in the United States are equipped with a greater number of EPA air quality monitors.
Hezbollah leader acknowledges the group's loss of its supply path via Syria. The IDF perceives an opportunity for strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, following the dismantling of Syria's air defenses. A Syrian Druze village, apprehensive of Islamist insurgents, requests annexation to Israel, viewing it as the lesser evil.
Trump plans to talk with RFK Jr. about stopping childhood vaccination programs. The Washington Examiner reports that RFK Jr. S. advisor seeks FDA approval revocation for polio and hepatitis B vaccines. Kennedy's lawyer has requested the FDA to revoke the polio vaccine approval. Mitch McConnell cautions RFK Jr. against actions to weaken polio vaccines. A poll indicates that half of Americans lack confidence in Trump's cabinet's elections. The Biden administration reportedly permits California to prohibit new gas-powered vehicles.
U.S. plans new AI chip restrictions to block China's access. U.S. and China reach 5 years amended agreement on science and technology collaboration. Chinese tech firm Hikvision abandoned Xinjiang surveillance projects. 2 months ago, Hikvision reportedly laid off 1,000 employees in China due to sanctions. In the United States, the Supreme Court is set to review an industry proposal to contest California's authority to regulate vehicle emissions. According to Reuters, the Trump transition team suggests eliminating the car crash reporting requirement, which Tesla has opposed. Additionally, media reports indicate that Volkswagen's board is reconsidering the closure of major plants in Germany, while Volkswagen's leading owner has cautioned about potential impairments of up to €20 billion.
Kamala Harris aide admits Democrats losing hold of culture as influencer media shifts right. Trump says he'll sue Pollster and Seltzer for wrong prediction. AP reports that man sentenced for helping pregnant Chinese women travel to give birth in the U.S., as Rancho Cucamonga man sentenced to more than 3 years in prison for operating birth tourism scheme for affluent Chinese clients.
Israel plans to shut its embassy in Dublin following Ireland's backing of a petition to the International Court of Justice regarding genocide. Experts suggest that Hong Kong and Xinjiang might be central to Kazakhstan's approach towards China. Iran's administration has decided not to enforce a new hijab law. Romney forecasts Vance as the GOP's 2028 nominee, asserts MAGA is the Republican Party, and states you can't complain if Trump fulfills his promises. Trump and his appointees are poised to initiate additional lawsuits concerning unfavorable media portrayals. TikTok influencers are leaving Romania due to a tax investigation into their involvement in the elections. ABC will provide $15 million to Donald Trump's presidential library to resolve a defamation lawsuit. An Australian gemstone incorporated into China's hypersonic weapons may pose a security threat, according to a Chinese study. The FBI reports that numerous drone sightings in New Jersey are actually cases of manned aircraft being misidentified as drones. Brazil's former defense minister arrested in 2022 coup plot investigation. Georgian lawmakers elect far-right, anti-West hardliner as new president. Apple CEO visits Mar-a-Lago, joining list of tech execs seemingly courting Trump. Donald Trump expresses a desire to lead the charge in eliminating the debt ceiling and warns of a government shutdown if his demand for a debt limit increase is not met, attributing blame to Biden if such an event occurs. Rand Paul suggests Elon Musk as a candidate for House Speaker. Paris Hilton considers a potential political campaign, following her successful advocacy for an at-risk youth bill. Elon Musk's alleged drug use and connections with Vladimir Putin have reportedly hindered SpaceX from seeking higher security clearance, according to a report. Following an investigation into January 6, the House GOP has aligned with Trump and targeted Liz Cheney. Previously, Trump advocated for an FBI investigation into Republican Liz Cheney regarding her involvement in the January 6 panel. Trump mentioned that Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble due to her actions with the January 6 committee. Uber and its CEO have each contributed $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund. In the United States, former President Trump insists on renegotiating a bipartisan budget agreement just days before the potential shutdown. Meanwhile, the House GOP, influenced by Elon Musk, is considering abandoning the spending bill. Mike Johnson is encountering increasing opposition from within the GOP, as Musk advocates for a government shutdown. Additionally, a poll indicates that most Americans disapprove of Trump's suggestions to challenge the boundaries of democracy. Lastly, Democrats mock Trump as the vice president, while Musk interferes with the government funding bill.
Musk and Trump are perceived similarly by Americans, according to an AP-NORC poll. Trump declares that federal employees unwilling to return to the office will be dismissed. It has been reported that Elon Musk is now wealthier than Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg together. Trump expresses willingness to pardon NYC Mayor Eric Adams. NYC Mayor's campaign rejects millions in public matching funds. Steve Bannon asserts Trump's eligibility to run again in 2028. Italian privacy watchdog imposes $15.5 million fine on OpenAI for data usage in ChatGPT. Malaysia declares Facebook and TikTok required to obtain license, according to NST reports. The European Union urges Apple to make AirDrop and AirPlay accessible to Android and other platforms.
Putin indicates no immediate plans to conclude the Ukraine conflict during extended TV session. European Union has allocated 130 billion euros in aid for Ukraine, according to von der Leyen. Ukrainian Prime Minister announces cessation of Russian gas transit through Ukraine on January 1, 2025.
Sweden will no longer fund UNRWA aid agency, minister says. AP comments as, for thousands of Jews, Israel still doesn't feel safe after the October 7th attacks. So they're leaving. In the U.S., EPA staffers demand Biden release climate funds withheld over Gaza. 7 months ago, a pro-Hamas group got $50 million U.S. grant under Inflation Reduction Act, Senator says. The Hill comments as, Musk floods X with spending bill misinformation. The Atlantic comments as, the GOP is treating Musk like he's in charge. The Guardian comments as, Elon Musk is becoming a one-man rogue state. It's time we reined him in.
A former high-ranking assistant to New York City's mayor has been indicted in a bribery conspiracy. In Malaysia, a court has cleared Najib's wife, ROSMA, of charges related to money laundering and tax evasion. According to recent SEC filings, Trump has moved all his DJT shares into his revocable trust.
Wall Street Journal. White House aides shielded Biden from public interaction. Reason: Joe Biden attempted to utilize the regulatory state to oversee all aspects. Biden approves legislation to finance the government until March 2025. Trump designates The Apprentice producer as a special envoy to Britain. Russia's central bank maintains its key interest rate at 21%. During a lengthy live event, Putin reflects that he should have initiated a full-scale invasion of Ukraine earlier. The Russian government mandates PS to disclose the identities of VPN users, continuing its crackdown a year after the ban of the Shadow SOX protocol. Trump wants 5% NATO defense spending target, Europe told, and Trump says European Union must buy U.S. oil and gas in trade ultimatum. Alaska governor asks Trump to roll back restrictions on oil and gas drilling. Trump team warns Starmer's horrible, arrogant ambassador pick means Britain will be locked out of key discussions, as Trump campaign advisor calls incoming UK ambassador to US a moron. Elon Musk sparks backlash with post claiming only far-right AfD can save Germany. Harvard Law enrollment plummets for Black and Hispanic students as Black enrollment at Harvard Law lowest since 1960s after affirmative action ruling. Fox News reports that tech journalist putting together investor group to buy Washington Post rejects Elon Musk in advance. Research associates frequently used cooking oils derived from corn and sunflower seeds with a heightened risk of colon cancer. Experts call for a cessation of studies aimed at developing synthetic mirror bacteria that might bypass human immune defenses and disturb natural ecosystems. China establishes an AI standards committee amid the escalating global technology competition.
In a longest journey of a humpback whale, a male travels over 8,000 miles to mate. Dogs pull harder on the leash when they wear a harness than a collar. New Zealand plans to ban greyhound racing over animal welfare concerns.
Small letter beta hydroxybutyrate restores protein balance and targets Alzheimer's-linked aggregates, as a metabolite of the ketogenic diet has the potential to kill cancer cells. Additionally, a recent study revealed that ancient Americans consumed mammoth steak as part of their diet. Furthermore, a diet high in ultra-processed foods has been associated with increased fat storage in the thighs.
Recent studies indicate that the moon might have originated just a brief time following the formation of the Earth. A full mastodon jaw was discovered in New York when a homeowner noticed teeth in their backyard. The earliest recognized mammal ancestors have been found on the Spanish island of Majorca. Experiencing structural sexism from birth is linked to quicker memory decline in late life for both Black and white women in the U.S. 13 ancient Egyptian mummies were discovered with gold tongues, believed to assist them in speaking in the afterlife. Simulations reveal that the ancient hominin Lucy was not an adept runner. Studies suggest that the axon terminals of neurons might be irregular in shape rather than smooth. Distinct microbial communities have been found under the icy surface of Antarctica's Lake Enigma. Research indicates that humans began feeding salmon to dogs around 12,000 years ago, possibly indicating the early stages of our bond with canines. Chemical castration involves medication to reduce pedophiles' sexual desires, but experts indicate it does not stop attacks. Survival rates for melanoma are associated with the thickness of the tumor. A study reveals that refrigerated raw milk can contain the influenza virus for up to 5 days.
Ancient Homo sapiens genomes indicate interbreeding with Neanderthals for more than 7,000 years. A study suggests that intermittent fasting might decelerate hair growth. San Francisco's downtown area receives its first tornado warning ever recorded. Designer John Galliano departs Maison Margiela after a decade-long tenure. Yayoi Kusama adorned 60 trees with pink and white polka dots in preparation for her NGV exhibition in Melbourne, where her immersive art becomes the focal point. Vancouver approves a motion to become a Bitcoin-friendly city.
Top AI chatbots exhibit cognitive decline similar to dementia in tests, prompting concerns about their potential role in medicine. A survey indicates that the majority of U.S. teenagers are avoiding alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana. New research highlights that Black adults with long COVID experience elevated feelings of hopelessness and suicidal ideation.
Research highlights 13 proteins significantly linked to brain aging, with these proteins appearing to increase at ages 57, 70, and 78. The FDA has given the green light to Zepbound tirzepatide as the sole prescription medication for moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea in adults with obesity. Initially, Zepbound was approved for weight reduction. A group showcases the first instance of quantum teleportation using congested internet cables.
Microplastics in the air may be leading to lung and colon cancers. In the U.S., the FDA announced an update the healthy claim that manufacturers can voluntarily use on food packages, which contain a certain amount of recommended food and meet specific limits in sugars, fat, and sodium. California squirrels have developed a taste for meat in surprise discovery. Research indicates the initial proof of ancient religious practices in a Galilee cave with a 35,000 years old tortoise shell carving potentially representing the Holy Land's earliest ritual behavior. A silver amulet discovered in a Frankfurt grave is considered the oldest evidence of Christianity located north of the Alps. The sarcophagus of the real Santa Claus has been found in a Turkish church annex.
Artists might receive right to personality. In UK AI Protections Review, Paul McCartney changes his mind on AI after creating a new Beatles song, now worried it will destroy the music industry. Hayley Atwell is set to reprise her Agent Carter role in Marvel Studios' Avengers: Doomsday. A forgotten collection of Charles de Gaulle's personal letters, speeches and manuscripts has been discovered in a safe. Malcolm in the Middle revival set at Disney Plus with Frankie Muniz, Bryan Cranston, Jane Kaczmarek returning. Barbie sequel in early stages, as Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach settle on story idea. The Telegraph reported that Uyghur fighters in Syria vow to come for China next. Kyrgyzstan looks to change its two Soviet national anthem, as President Japarov proposes new national anthem for evolving Kyrgyzstan. Kiev ready to supply food to Syria as Russia supplies suspended. Snoop Dogg to star in and co-produce Luc Besson's sci-fi movie, The Last Man. Taylor Swift makes history as most decorated artist at Billboard Awards. Indian Gyuksh Damaraju 18 becomes the youngest ever chess world champion after Ding Liren blunder.
Apple's iPhone Game of the Year is AFK Journey and iPad Game of the Year, Squad Busters, were announced at the 2024 Apple App Store Awards. Additionally, the Clayface movie is officially underway at DC Studios, with Mike Flanagan writing the screenplay. Furthermore, Sam Mendes is set to direct a 4-films Beatles biopic, scheduled for release in 2027. Popeye and Tintin will become public domain characters in 2025, joining works by Faulkner and Hemingway. Disney has removed a transgender storyline from Pixar's Win or Lose series, stating that many parents would prefer to discuss certain subjects on their own terms. A UCLA diversity report reveals that white men dominate the most watched streaming shows as lead actors, series creators, and audiences desire fresh, more diverse content.
BBC Studios and the Walt Disney Company have unveiled their first Bluey animated feature film. Tom Cruise has been honored with the U.S. Navy's highest civilian award. The directors for Beyond the Spider-Verse have been announced as Bob Persichetti and Justin K. Thompson. YouTube is currently testing a feature that allows creators to post voice notes as comments. The developer of Balatro humorously criticizes Peggy for rating the game 18+ due to its evil playing cards, and suggests adding microtransactions like those in EA Sports FC 25 to potentially reduce the rating to a 3+. The producer of Black Myth, Wukong, appears frustrated about not winning Game of the Year. In the U.S., for National Film Registry Dirty Dancing, Beverly Hills Cop, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, among 25 movies added 2024. Scream 7 sets Mason Gooding to return for horror sequel. A once-a-century super flare from the sun is long overdue, scientists say, as violent super flares explode from sun-like stars every 100 years.
Chanel reveals Mathieu Blazy as the new artistic director. Mbappé secures his 4th French Player of the Year award. In Paris, JR plans to convert the Pont Neuf into a temporary grotto, paying tribute to Christo and Jean-Claude.
Apple is collaborating with Broadcom on developing an AI chip. Exxon is considering selling electricity to data centers. A bad RAM attack successfully breaches AMD secure virtual machines using just a Raspberry Pi Pico, a DDR socket, and a 9V battery.
Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney unexpectedly reunited in London to perform a timeless Beatles classic. FIFA and Netflix have entered into a groundbreaking agreement to broadcast the 2027 and 2031 editions of the FIFA Women's World Cup. Blue Sky is planning to launch a paid subscription tier that will offer exclusive features.
YouTube announces stricter measures against clickbait titles in India. Influencers predict that Meta's platforms, particularly Instagram, will gain the most if a U.S. TikTok ban occurs, with Instagram projected to account for over half of Meta's U.S. ad revenue by 2025, according to a report. MrBeast leases Egyptian pyramids for 100 hours to create a YouTube video.
Real Madrid secures victory against Pachuca to claim the FIFA Intercontinental Cup. The global box office is anticipated to reach $33 billion by 2025. LeBron James becomes the NBA's all-time leader in regular season minutes played, surpassing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Roku locks exclusive U.S. streaming rights for X Games Aspen and a soon-to-be-announced X Games event coming summer 2025. The Golden Globes 2025 gift bags feature $1 million worth of items. Brazilian judge orders Adele's song removed over plagiarism claim.
Astrobot has been officially declared the Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2024. Additionally, an Okami sequel was announced at the event. Furthermore, The Witcher 4 was revealed at the Game Awards, with Ciri serving as the protagonist.
Apple has reportedly abandoned the development of an M4 Extreme chip, opting instead to focus on artificial intelligence. LG has decided to cease production of all UHD Blu-ray and Blu-ray players. Google has introduced a mixed reality headset in collaboration with Samsung, aiming to compete with Apple and Meta. The Epic Games Store is set to be included as a pre-installed application on Android devices and Samsung smartphones, despite the ongoing Google antitrust case remaining on hold. Additionally, a recent report from Pew Research Center reveals that nearly half of the teenagers in the United States are engaged in online activities on a constant basis. Furthermore, another report suggests that Americans are likely to spend approximately $200,000 over the course of their lifetime on various forms of home internet, television, mobile phone services, and streaming platforms.
Bloomberg states that Amazon halted the introduction of Microsoft Office for a year due to hacks, pausing a $1 billion Microsoft 365 rollout over cybersecurity worries. Adobe Camera Raw is now capable of eliminating reflections that spoil photos, without using generative AI. Google claims its latest quantum chip could demonstrate the existence of parallel universes.
Elon Musk achieves a historic milestone by surpassing the $400 billion net worth mark, primarily driven by the remarkable success of Tesla and SpaceX. In contrast, the Bank of Japan is expected to maintain its interest rates in the face of global risks. On the USA front, the November U.S. CPI report reveals a steady decline in inflation, with the annual rate hovering at a manageable 2.7%.
FIFA broadcasts map of Ukraine without Crimea during 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Former Russian President Medvedev says, new very close regions may join Russia. U.S. supplies Ukraine with autonomous welding units for energy infrastructure repair.
Rhode Island reports a probable breach of personal data in a cyber attack on its social services, with hackers extorting ransom from residents following the incident. The FTC alerts that text message job scams are becoming more interactive and prevalent. In the United Kingdom, Welsh police departments introduced their inaugural facial recognition mobile application. NOAA stated that there is a 99% probability that 2024 will become the warmest year ever documented. Research indicates that climate warming is negatively impacting rice quality in East Asia. UN discussions did not result in a consensus on addressing the increasing threat of global drought.
Texas takes legal action against DuPont and 3M regarding the presence of forever chemicals in consumer goods. McKinsey, a consulting firm, agrees to a $650 million settlement to conclude an opioid criminal investigation. Research indicates that cancer screening and ceasing smoking have collectively contributed to saving approximately 6 million lives. Klarna ceased all hiring a year ago to substitute employees with AI. Google Cloud introduces AgentSpace for developing and deploying agents. A study reveals that we are naturally repelled by stories marked as AI-generated, even if they were unknowingly authored by others. Khloe Kardashian will debut her video podcast on X in January. A study by York University suggests that banning smartphones at school leads to better sleep and an enhanced mood. The European Union plans to investigate TikTok's involvement in the Romanian elections. Waymo is broadening its global reach by introducing its autonomous vehicle fleet to Tokyo. Meanwhile, ARM and Qualcomm have initiated a trial concerning AI PC chips. Additionally, gallium prices have surged to their highest level since 2011 due to export restrictions imposed by China.
In the United States, teenagers are reportedly leaving X and Facebook behind, with TikTok and WhatsApp gaining popularity, according to a claim in a report. Bloomberg notes that TikTok has hired experts for jobs, which contrasts with Trump's unclear position. The Mozy social networking app has been introduced to facilitate the development of more personal connections.
Microsoft has announced the removal of passwords for 1 billion users, coinciding with a 200% increase in attacks. In 2024, AI assistants enabled Telegram to eliminate 15 million potentially harmful groups and channels. Germany has taken action to block Badbox malware, which was found on 30,000 Android devices.
A photocatalytic system using light can decompose PFAS at ambient temperature. China introduces a new compact radiation detection chip to enhance semiconductor self-reliance. A novel mathematical model proposes the possibility of reviving cells.
Bloomberg's editor-in-chief asserts that paywalls are the most secure method to ensure job stability for journalists. Mozilla warns that the proposed contractual remedies in the United States versus Google case could jeopardize the essential function of independent browsers. New Zealand becomes the first country to offer a nationwide direct-to-smartphone Starlink service.
Databricks co-founder proposes a $1 million reward to address AI coding challenges. IDC reveals that China has surpassed other countries to become the largest market for wrist-worn devices, driving global expansion. A Chinese self-driving trucking firm shifts its focus to generative AI for developing video games.
Apple discontinues iPhone hardware subscription service development. Apple discusses AI feature implementation with Tencent and ByteDance in China, according to sources. EU increases demands on Apple to share features with competitors, while Apple argues that Meta's 15 data law requests would compromise privacy. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella claims that Google earns more revenue from Windows than Microsoft itself, highlighting Google's stronghold in search and distribution. Bing search is enhanced with speed, accuracy, and efficiency using SLM models and TensorRT LLM. Seagate introduces a 32 TB Exos M hard drive utilizing HAMR technology. YouTube announces that its technology will soon detect AI replicas of celebrities and creators. This comes as YouTube collaborates with CAA to allow talent to identify and remove AI deepfakes of themselves. Meanwhile, a U.S. trade tribunal determines that Lenovo's smartphones violate Ericsson patents. Additionally, Forbes is severing relationships with freelance writers due to Google's spam policies.
Thai Mo Shan must pay $123 million for misleading investors about Terra USD's stability. A Romanian national in the U.S. is sentenced to 20 years for NetWalker ransomware attacks, which led to millions in ransom payments. In the U.S., a theft of 5 million payment card details serves as a cautionary reminder to monitor Christmas spending. Google proposes to relax its search agreements in the U.S. antitrust case settlement. Qualcomm asserts victory in its trial with ARM regarding chip design licenses. Over 140 Facebook moderators in Kenya have been diagnosed with severe PTSD.
CFPB takes legal action against JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo regarding fraudulent Zelle payments. In the United States, Meta's WhatsApp receives a court decision that holds the spyware developer NSO responsible for hacking, with the judge determining that the NSO group is liable for spyware attacks on 1,400 WhatsApp user devices. The Play ransomware gang asserts a breach in data theft at Krispy Kreme.
Ascension, a U.S. hospital operator, announced that 5.6 million individuals were impacted by a medical data breach that occurred in May. Meanwhile, McDonald's India delivery system allegedly revealed personal customer information because of an API bug. Additionally, the U.S. has charged a dual Russian and Israeli national with being a developer of the Lockbit ransomware group. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 in the works for 2027 release. In Japan, Evangelion Anime launches transforming fast food robots in McDonald's collaboration. Nintendo Switch finally surpasses PlayStation 2's lifetime sales in the U.S. U.S. Commerce Secretary Raimondo declares that attempting to slow China in the chip race is an irrational pursuit. Russia has reportedly developed a roadmap for producing a cost-effective and straightforward lithograph, surpassing ASML's complexity. Experts and lawmakers anticipate that U.S. agriculture will become a new frontier in cybersecurity in the coming year. Albania imposes a 1-year ban on TikTok following the death of a teenager. Sega is exploring a subscription service similar to Netflix for games. Google announces it will not mandate Gemini on partners as part of its antitrust proposal. Tether plans to allocate up to $3 billion for investments in the year 2025. Apple has started phasing out the iPhone SE and iPhone 14 models in the European Union in anticipation of the upcoming USB-C standard requirement. According to the 2024 Open Source Software Funding Report, the majority of the contribution value, which is 86%,